noticed the hen is out, but also the chicks are hatching. You hear that cheeping? There's a crack in the other egg as well. Hope she comes back. Okay, so she's gone back in now, luckily. While she was off, I did take the liberty of putting some, sort of sprinkling some water onto the base just underneath where the eggs are, because they need quite high humidity to hatch, help them hatch kind of cleanly. And it's very hot again today, so hopefully that will have helped a bit. And by later today, tomorrow, I should have some chicks. I did pick up one egg and had to have a listen, and I didn't hear any cheeping, so it might be that I've only got 2, but that's fine. Like I said, she's gone back on the eggs now, which is good, and we'll see what tomorrow brings. It's important to leave them, tempting though it is to kind of go and keep checking all the time. It's quite important to leave them to hatch just in peace and quiet, because it's really hard work for them and it takes a lot out of them, so it's quite important to just let them settle under mum once they've hatched. Right, so I know I've got a couple of chicks. Well, I've heard a couple of chicks. When I go and listen, I'll take you around the back in a minute, but I've put out some chick crumb and a shallow drinker, and she's unlikely to come out today actually. And you can see I've moved the coop onto some kind of bare earth, just because, although it all looks very sort of cute and everything to have the chicks in long grass, they struggle a bit and can get lost. So just make sure, I've got to get some more wood, and you can see I've put a sort of strip of wood down there, because you'll be amazed at how small a gap chicks can get out. So yeah, just make sure that the whole thing is chick tight. But I'll go around the back and see if we can see the chicks. Hello. Hello, miss. I can hear cheeping. Definite cheeping. Oh, there's a little chick. Hello. We got any more under there, miss? See the egg shells cracked under there. There's one on the hatch, but that might be an infertile one. Definitely got 2. Oh, you're cross, aren't you? Sorry, darling. Well done. You're very bonny, aren't you, little fella? Oh, there's the other one. You see the little legs under there? Oh, there we go. Hello. Looks like I've got a boy and a girl. Hello. Mum has popped outside with the chickadees, so I'm just going to take advantage of her absence to clear up this mess, because she's pooped and there's that unhatched egg there, which I'm pretty sure is infertile. So I'll just clear this up and make her a new nest, then be ready for when she wants to come back in. It's really, really hot today, so I don't want to keep her outside for too long. Mum having a much needed dust bath. Hello, little chickie. I'm going to let Mum and baby chicks out. It's quite a good idea to keep them in for a while, say, certainly the first 3 or 4 days, just so that they kind of get used to where home is. The other problem is she's only got 2 chicks, which means there's quite a sort of low critical mass of her little flock, and the chicks themselves don't tend to stay together if there's only a couple of them. So given that I've got an awful lot of undergrowth here, when she first comes out, she's gonna a big sort of flappy like, I'm out, I'm free, and then she'll suddenly remember she's a mother. We've all been there, people, haven't we? Then she'll remember she's a mum and go back and find the chicks. But it's quite important because she's in a coop, but she doesn't understand wire, and neither do the chicks. So it's quite important to just keep an eye on her and make sure the chicks don't get lost in this terrible undergrowth that I've got here, and that they don't get stuck the wrong side of the coop wire, if you see what I mean. So I'm going to let her out now anyway. You can see she's finding the little bits of grass and having some grass herself. She probably does want to have a bit of a dust bath, although she's got a nice dry coop in there. So you see what I mean? So that little one's got stuck. So I just need to, because at this age and stage they're a bit helpless. Come on, little one. Come on, miss, out you come. Bring them both out. And you. Bit scary. Chicks aren't quite sure what to make of the ducks. Who's the daddy? Duck's doing a bit of indecisive head bobbing. Bit scared of the broody hen. Also a bit scared of that hen. Oh, there's Mum chasing off. Oh. That's right, boys, get out of the way. That chick having a dust bath with Mum must be a bit like being in a tumble dryer. I'm going to make some burger buns. These are really popular with my kids because they're a bit like the brioche buns, but they're nicer than those because I even find those can get quite dry. So these are from a recipe by a lady, I can't remember her name, but she was a bake-off finalist, I think, and she had a book called the Pink Whisk, or a sort of a website called the Pink Whisk. Anyway, so it's a recipe from her book, which I've had years, and it's just one of those sort of favourites that I keep making again and again. So it's got quite a lot of yeast in it because the whole point is it's a really quick recipe, and she uses 3 teaspoons of yeast to 425 grams of flour, which is a lot of yeast. But it's really good if you need them in a hurry. That obviously really gets everything going. But I tend to use only 2 teaspoons and give them a little bit longer, so there's not quite such a hurry. But you know, I seem to be able to be fine with just 2 teaspoons of yeast. So I'm going to get on and weigh out the ingredients, and I'm going to pop them in the KitchenAid and just let them do their thing. So I've got 425 grams of just ordinary strong white flour. This is organic flour from Shipton Mill. It's really lovely, just regular strong white flour. There we go. Then a teaspoonful of sugar and a teaspoonful of sea salt, and then 3 teaspoons, well I'm using 2, of, this is the quick yeast from Does Farm, and you need to put this on the other side to the salt and the sugar. So I put the salt and the sugar on one side and the yeast on the other, because you don't really want the salt to come in direct contact with the yeast. There we go. So the thing that makes these buns really soft and lovely is the addition of some butter. It's a really warm day here today, so the butter is unusually soft for my house. Normally it's like a brick, my butter, but you need 50 grams of butter. So just pop that in. Obviously that richness makes them a bit similar to the brioche buns, which is why they're so tasty. And then here I've got 240 grams of warm water, so I'm going to pop that in as well. There we go, pop it in the mixer. Here we are, that's the dough. It's nice and soft and smooth, and I'm just going to leave it for probably about 40 minutes because, like I said, it's very warm today, so I'm going to leave it for a bit and just to puff up, and then I'm now going to shape the rolls. I'm going to use my scraper and just get the dough out, and this will make 8 little rolls. I've got a buttered baking tray here, and they don't need to rise for very long because I'm not going to really knock them back. Normally with a yeasted dough you'd get all the air out of it, but I'm not going to try and do that at all. So I'm going to just divide it into 8, and then I'll just shape it into the rolls and leave them for about 15 minutes. So I'll pop that here so you can see. So this is half the dough. So into try not to use any flour. It is a slightly sticky, but it's also quite sort of smooth and easy to work. So I'm handling it very gently. I don't actually want to knock all the air out. And there's one little bun. Egg wash these and cover them in sesame seeds if you wanted the traditional like burger buns, or poppy seeds or any other thing, or just flour. It's quite nice as well actually, but I'm going to do some egg wash and sesame seeds with these. So I'll leave these for about 10 minutes, just while the oven heats up, and then I'll pop them in. I've come out for an evening walk with my dog, who I wouldn't normally bring, but he's getting on a bit, so I like to spend some time with him. I'm going to go and see if I can see the deer. Now, I warn you now, I'm no wildlife camera person, and in any case I'm just filming on my phone, so I'll see if I can get something which vaguely resembles a deer-shaped blob in a field. But I'm just going to go and see what I can find. It's, I don't know what the time is now, but I'm going to go and see if I can look in the field where we normally find the deer and see what's there. It's about 8:15, so it's probably quite early for the deer. They tend to come out a little bit later on in dusk, and as you can see it's still quite light. But I'll go and have a look, and I've seen quite a lot of badgers up here recently as well, and I've heard some buzzards yelling in the field. the other side of the track. So I'll see what I can find. They cleared the field of its straw bales today. So it's looking rather bare. There's a buzzard over there somewhere. It's a beautiful evening. There's absolutely not a breath of wind tonight, which doesn't really help me, because it's better when the wind is coming from the direction of the deer, who, if they're anywhere, they're over in that field there. Oh, sorry, the dog's pulling on my lead, on his lead rather, pulling my finger. But although it's better than the wind blowing my scent over towards them, it's still, if there's no wind at all, the deer can be a little more flighty. Now this track here, which you can see leading up to a hole in the hedge there, well, that's what's known as a muset. Oh, dog certainly finds it interesting. And that's a hole, a sort of passageway made by an animal. Now you won't be able to see, but over in that far field is a group of about 10 fallow deer. Talk about the motorbike in the background. I'll see if I can get some photos, but obviously they'll be absolutely terrible. I've got my 8x42s, which are absolutely fabulous and they're high definition. So actually they're better than my eyesight, but they're really good for lower light conditions, and just means that I can see the deer that are grazing quite happily way over the field there, and no disturbance at all. And it's really important to remember when you're looking at wildlife that really you don't want to be disturbing them at all, however much we won't want to see them and connect with them and engage with them. The primary thing is to allow them to continue undisturbed, because every time we disrupt them or upset them, we're causing them to expend energy that they may not have. So having a really good pair of binocs is really valuable if you're going to be doing any kind of wildlife watching. I'm going to head back now. I've seen I counted about 9. I thought there might have been a few more, but they could well have disappeared behind the other bits of the hedge. But I've seen the deer this evening. There were some bucks and some does, but there are a few different groups just in the fields around me. There's about 20 in total, but they're fallow deer, and so yeah, it's just really interesting. I've been watching them a lot over lockdown, and it's been really fascinating to watch where they go and at what time. So if you want to do wildlife watching, just bear in mind the wind direction, like I said. Try and wear, as you can see I'm wearing kind of dull coloured clothes, and bear in mind that an awful lot of certainly deer will recognise an upright human kind of figure, and so be conscious of what you're presenting. If you can sort of have your back against a hedge or a tree or something dark, then they're not going to spot you in quite the same way as if you're in a gateway or something where you look really obvious. And so they can kind of recognise a face, and they've got really good hearing and really good smell. So it's quite important. As I said, I wouldn't recommend bringing your dog. Hey, Scruff. But yeah, the deer are a long way away, and yeah, a good pair of binoculars, and try and just keep quiet. But it's a really amazing thing to go and watch them, and just going about their business. It's really lovely to see. So that concludes the vlog. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next week.